Do you need to get a closer look at what I have on my wrist?
Wait a minute. Look, he's got on one of those ID bracelets the camp moles wear. Those cockroaches are very useful to us in here. Lower your gun and let him leave.
You heard him. Get out of here, rat.
Not a rat, he's a mole.
I can't quite see how to use this ID bracelet here. From here, I can see how the road leading out of the refugee camp splits into 3 paths.
Oh.
One leads to a kind of depression in the ground, another leads to a graded water outlet, and the third disappears into the distance, beyond the last hill. Could that be the road leading to the city?
I think we'll go to the city. So I entered the city. It welcomed me with its most merciless and bitter grimace. What I see before my eyes is not what I expected. Doomsday made it here too, even if no one in the refugee camp knows it yet. Damn it, this city looks as bruised and battered by the catastrophe as the rest of us. Act 2, Doomsday City. Like a song. Take me down to Doomsday City. Achievement unlocked. Logan's Run. Ooh, who remembers the movie Logan's Run?
Dozens of posters, all shredded, charred, or half torn off. This wall must have been used for advertising before the Great Wave. One of them in particular catches my eye.
Ooh, one of them particularly catches his eye. Which one? Probably this one down here. It was very noisy.
Tomorrow comes today. There's something about the composition that's strangely familiar to me. Some memory related to my former life, perhaps? Or maybe it's just a memory glitch caused by the Great Wave.
Ah, Great Wave. City dwellers.
Hello, friend. You look lost. Come over by the fire.
It's dying down, but maybe it'll last until curfew.
As long as those uniformed psychopaths don't decide to end our little get-together first, of course.
Hey, look! One of those magic bracelets from the camp. They say that place is a real hellhole. A kind of living death. So, you've come back from the dead. Do they call you Lazarus?
Well, you could put it that way.
He did,
You were saying something about a curfew. What time does it start exactly?
Well, it depends on the mood of the soldiers in this zone. But you know it's time to go home when they start taking their guns out of their holsters.
Today they're extremely jumpy. I don't think it'll be long before they start insulting people and hitting them with their rifle butts.
You guys are awfully hard on them. It's just their crude way of showing us affection.
Oh, shut up. In any case, you don't have to worry. That bracelet means you don't have to hide from them. You know, that's one of the privileges that comes with it.
And you? Do you people have to hide?
We try to stay out of their way. The first rule is, be home before curfew. Anyone who isn't gets dragged off to refugee camp. That's one of the strictest laws the Great Wave imposed upon this city.
ah.
And do you know how things are elsewhere? Do you get news from outside?
I'm afraid not. With no communications or transportation, and with the army on every corner, we are totally cut off.
Who cares anyway? When you don't know from one day to the next if you're gonna be alive, there's no time to worry about what happens 100, 1,000, or 100,000 miles away.
I understand.
Yeah.
Why are you afraid of the soldiers? I'd heard that things function better here.
I don't know where you heard that, friend, but whoever told you that was lying. Here, things are very ugly and getting uglier every day. Everything's in short supply: water, food, medicine.
We have a surplus of just 2 things: misery and violence. Life is cheap here, and getting cheaper all the time, especially since the army took over.
The army. I see. And what happened to the other authorities? The politicians? The laws?
Those are distant memories from the old world, my dear. Get them out of your head, because all that collapsed like a house of cards. Since the Great Wave, no one's got any plan, strategy. We're all adrift.
He's right. The most reliable thing we have left is what you see around the corner. Armed teenagers in uniform on the streets, on the rooftops, just as scared as we are, or more, and shooting anything that moves.
I think our common destiny is to finally die of starvation, of disease, or boredom? I don't know which of the three options I find the most cruel. Who knows? Maybe the most sensible thing is to organize a group excursion and break into Suicide Park.
Suicide Park? Don't call it that. It's not funny. That name's as stupid as that hospital they built in such a hurry next to it. It's crazy. The entire city is starving and sick, and the soldiers keep those medical facilities locked up like Fort Knox.
Huh.
But what good is it having medical facilities if no one can use them? I don't understand.
No one does, friend, but that's the way it is. I don't know why anyone would want to go into that building, but I can assure you that they're not going to get treated for anything in there, not even for a miserable cold.
Besides, it's a real fortress. The person will be more likely to come out sick from an overdose of gunpowder and lead. You know how it is, dear. There's no cure for love or death. Hey, I like that last phrase. It would make a good opening line for a story.
Oh, will you shut up for once, Ramon? Don't pay any attention to him. In the old world, he earned his living writing stories, and he still thinks that all that waste paper might someday be useful after the Great Wave.
And in fact, it is. A good deal of that scrap paper is fueling this bonfire right now, dear. So I can consider my literary career to have been worthwhile.
I'm still laughing at the lead poisoning joke.
Did you say Suicide Park? Someone in the camp told me about that place.
And the first dark stars come out to hang from the sky. We could sit and count them together, you and I.
When the sun departs from Suicide Park. Yes, I recognize the song. But what the hell is it? Is there really a place with that name?
Yes, it exists. After the Great Wave, and when things were starting to get really ugly here, the weakest among us eased their suffering with a bullet, by overdosing, or by jumping from high places. You know how it is. All those dark stars had a hard time finding a reason to go on living.
There was a terrible wave of suicides, and there still is.
The problem is at some point a problem arose. How should I put it? A serious logistical problem. Access to drugs and firearms became practically impossible. So the easiest thing was to grab a rope or a belt and go to Suicide Park after dark.
There was a time when it was hard to find a free branch anywhere in the park.
The suicides in the area multiplied at such a rate that the army closed down the park. They said for public health reasons.
For months, the only thing blooming in that park were the corpses of the hanged. The place became more like a theme park. Lots of fun for everyone.
I told you not to make jokes about that. Don't you have any respect for anything?
Of course not. That was one of the many things I lost in the Great Wave. And one of the things I missed the least, believe me.
Thanks for the chat.
Thanks for the company, friend.
Uh-huh.
Help me, please. Help me. Don't let them find me in the street after curfew. They'll take me to the refugee camp. Help me, please. But don't make any noise. There's a patrol just round the corner.
But what is he gonna need me to do?
It's almost curfew. I need a place to sleep. I need a place to hide, or they'll send me to the refugee camp. Don't you understand?
What is all this about a curfew?
At curfew, the soldiers want the streets cleared. And the way they see it, if you're out on the street after curfew, it means that you've got nowhere to go. You don't have a home. You don't belong here. And that makes you a rat. And so they take you to the refugee camp. I can't go to the camp. Understand? I can't go there.
Seems like life in the camp is actually a little better.
You need a roof over your head, and you don't have anywhere to go.
I used to, but it doesn't exist anymore. I owned an apartment a few blocks from here. The block was badly damaged by the Great Wave, but it was still standing.
And what happened to your home?
This morning, we had to evacuate the area in a hurry. We ran out in the streets with whatever we had on. Apparently, the foundation was starting to crumble. And a few hours later, All that was left of my home was a pile of smoking rubble, with 40 years of memories buried beneath it. But I can't let them take me to the camp. I need to get into another house before the curfew. Please, help me.
Okay, give me those bolt cutters. I'll see what I can do.
This house is empty, but the army has sealed it off. If I can just get this padlock off before curfew, I'll be safe. I need to get in here. But please, don't make too much noise. If the soldiers find us, they won't hesitate to kill us.
Impossible. I'm sorry. I can't do anything with this.
I need to get in there. I need to get in.
I'm looking for a place. Something like a pharmaceutical warehouse. Would you know anything about that?
I don't really know. There's a small medical center just outside the city limits. I suppose you mean that, right? They built it in a hurry, just knocked it together after the Great Wave. No one really knows what it's for, but there are vehicles going in and out of the place all the time. Whatever they're doing in there, they're keeping it very secret. Not even my daughter would tell me what goes on inside.
Did you say your daughter?
Yes, my daughter. My little Uma. She works there as a nurse. I'm afraid she left me. I suppose she got tired of living with a frail, sick old man like me. Because one day she simply left the house, and I haven't seen her since. It's been months now. I think she was right to leave me. These times are hard enough. You don't want to burn yourself with someone like me.
I'm sorry. I can't help you.
Help me, please.
Ruins of a church. A lot of people go to churches for sanctuary.
Send us a sign, Lord. We need a sign from you.
Hey, wait a minute. I know that voice.
Are we guilty of arousing your rage? Did we do it? Speak with your tongue of fire, Lord. Purge us with unrelenting justice. Send us a sign. Is this our doing? Are you punishing us for our arrogance? Unleash your thunderous voice, Lord. Release us from this intolerable uncertainty. Did we do it? Send us a sign.
I'm getting a strong impression that man's a fanatic and a little bit deranged. But his sermon made me curious. What could he mean by, we did it?
Did we do it? Are we the guilty ones?
Oh no. Here comes that sensation again. It's like floating in a dense liquid, while everything around me is transformed.
At least the church is still standing.
Good God. I think I'm starting to lose my mind.
Through the gash. That is your sign.
Starting to lose his mind. Ooh, glass shards. Subway sign. I can take the sign?
Let's see. I can try to rip it off. Nothing. I'm afraid I'm not going to be able to get it off with my hands.
Hey, we tried. Ooh, what is this? Ooh, medical center.
It's rather disconcerting to see such a small building surrounded by such extreme security measures. Could this be the medical center people have been telling me about?
Over there?
A bucolic fountain covered with ivy and moss. The park's desolation gives it an air of mystery from the side of the fence. In its day, it must have been home to a school of goldfish, which I suppose are now gradually decomposing inside it.
Probably.
This entrance is reserved for authorized motor vehicles only. Get away from it. Move on.
Oh, my ears.
What the hell?
Those savages don't get around.
Okay.
I'd better avoid getting too close to that area, at least on foot. Closed for public health reasons is written on this piece of wood nailed to the stump. Wait a minute. Health with no A?
Ooh, I got some nails.
A piece of wood with a handwritten sign. Closed for public health reasons. Judging from the handwriting and the spelling mistake, I assume the author of the message was one of those animals in uniform. The nails that held up the sign announcing the closure of Suicide Park. They're incredibly rusty. But considering the epidemic of the dissolved, tetanus is the least of my worries at the moment.
Haha. Tetanus is the least of my worries.
Strange. The soil here seems darker and less packed than the soil around it. In fact, the mud in this part of the ground is a bit damp and mushy. My fingers even leave marks in it when I touch it.
Damp and mushy. If I only had a shovel.
Illuminate us with your fiery voice, Lord.
The only statue in this place still standing. It's Saint... what's his name? Patron saint of... who knows what. I'm afraid that if I ever was a believer, all that information has also been blanked.
The thunderous
Saint what's his
voice of
name?
your angels
Very
through
popular
the
saint.
gash. That is your sign.
The catastrophe caused a lot of damage to the statue's pedestal. The fact that the statue is still standing is a miracle. Let's see. If I wedge one of the ends of the plank under the statue's pedestal, the other part will rest directly on the base of the toppled column.
Illuminate us with your fiery voice, Lord. Send us a sign. We're waiting, Lord. Did we do it? Illuminate us! Send us a sign with your just and vengeful arm! Is this our fault? Listen!
Uh-oh.
It's the fiery breath of God! The Lord has sent us his sign! And I was right! It is all our fault! We did it, and we have aroused his fury!
But what the hell's going on here?
Look! That's the sign! Forgive us, Lord! Forgive us! Repent, all ye sinners!
The Eye of
It's the atmospheric
Sauron.
phenomenon I've been hearing so much about. That infernal sound coming from the crack in the sky. It's terrifying.
That is the sign! We did it! Forgive us, Lord! Forgive us!
An
My
interdimensional
children,
rift.
God has spoken to us with his darkest voice. Haven't you heard him? But there's still time. All is not lost. We still have time. Salvation lies in the place where it all began, in the ruins, at the source. We must return to the ruins of the temple. We must return. We must.
Okay.
Well, look at that. Next to this enormous hunk of glass, the colored glass shards I picked up earlier look ridiculous. I'd better get rid of them.
Okay, well, you get rid of them. Okay. Let's use the glass to dig a hole. Take glass, soil.
I'll do this very carefully, so that the glass doesn't break in two. Perfect. The hole I've dug is big enough to get to the other side of the fence.
All right.
No, the hole